What's up, everybody? It's WODU Studios, the best in college radio, hosting KBR Sports, the best sports talk show of your 24-hour day. I'm your host, Brendan Avin, with my co-host to my left, Rashad Pennell, my co-host to the far right, Kyle Lewis, and our guest today, Rudy Henderson, who's gracing the set. We have a good amount of topics for y'all today. Starting with the college football rankings, man, those rankings, I want to. It's up for debate. Many people have their own opinion who should be number one, who the 1 through 4 should be. So that we'll get into that. We'll talk about also the Marcus Page injury and what that means for UNC since they're ranked number one in the AP index. Then we'll also get into talking about the Colts firing their offensive coordinator and what does that mean for the team. And I mean, was it really necessary for them to fire the offensive coordinator? Then we'll also get into the NFL predictions and other things. But yeah, starting off with the college football rankings. Recently, the committee finally released the rankings of the top 25 teams in college football. But we'll go into the top 10, starting with number 1 Clemson, number 2 LSU, number 3 Ohio State, number 4 Alabama, number 5 Notre Dame, number 6 is Baylor, number 7 is Michigan State. Then number 8 is TCU. Number 9 is Iowa. Number 10 is Florida. So do y'all believe that the top 4 teams rightfully deserve to be there, especially with a lot of people having a lot of issues with Alabama being up there because they've lost the game when you have teams like Michigan State, TCU, Iowa, and Baylor who haven't lost the game. I mean, granted, and Alabama's coming out of the SEC West, but then you also have a team like Baylor and TCU that come out of the Big 12, and then you have Michigan State, and then Ohio State coming out of the Big 10 East, and then you have Iowa coming out of the Big 10 West. So I mean, and in the likes of the Big 10, the Big 12, you got like Oklahoma State, I think, and Oklahoma, and then the Big 10 East, you got Michigan also. They got Michigan there, and they got Penn State in there too. So I mean, those are also tough teams they got to deal with. While you have an SEC West. You have teams like Arkansas, you have LSU, you got Alabama, you got Ole Miss, you got Mississippi State. You got so many teams that you have to contend with. So, do y'all believe that they got the rankings right? We'll start off with you, Khalid.
Uh, for the most part, I don't really think so because they do have teams ranked on here that with no losses. They ranked 7th, 8th, 9th, and 12th and 13th. So I don't think they really got it right.
If you don't think they got it right, who do you think should be in the top 4?
Barring Alabama and LSU, probably I want to say either Michigan State or Iowa, just to have them just though they are undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
They're all 8-0 right now. So I mean, it's very debatable the order of which the teams should be in there since there are like 8 teams that are undefeated at the moment. So right now, it's just looking all over the place for the moment for the top 25.
Okay, Rudy, who do you think should be who should be in the top 4 that at least is ranked in the top 10? Even if you maybe have a team that's not even in the top 10, who do you think should be in the top 4?
Well, as far as the top 4 goes, I agree with Clemson. I think they've been the most impressive team this season.
Who comes out of the ACC Atlantic?
Yes. Barring their schedule, they had to play Notre Dame and some other tough teams, and they've passed every test so far. They have Florida State this weekend, so yeah, that's a real big game for them. But LSU is fine.
Alabama this weekend.
Yeah, they play Alabama, so that's going to sort itself out. Leonard Fournette's been doing his thing, 150 plus in every game in the season. I do not agree with Alabama whatsoever.
That seems to be the issue.
They lost to an Ole Miss team that we found out wasn't as good as everyone thought they were. So I think Alabama.
They have one loss in the season though.
Ole Miss has 2 losses.
Oh, they have 2 losses.
They have 2 losses to Memphis and another team that they shouldn't have lost to. Although Memphis is actually pretty good this year. Okay. But and I'll talk about them later. But Alabama should be replaced to me by Michigan State or TCU. It seems like with these rankings, the Texas teams, when I say that, I mean the Big 12 teams, find a way to get left out no matter what. And of course, that's because they don't have a conference championship. Yeah. But either way, a good team is a good team. And you saw what that TCU team did to Ole Miss in that bowl game. Yeah. They dismantled them.
But, I feel like it's the old tale of the SEC
Oh yeah, I mean,
the SEC love.
I think the rankings
assumes that the SEC is the toughest.
I think that the rankings are tailored to the SEC, whoever won the championship last year, and throw in the random ACC team, ACC or Big 12 or Pac-12. This year it's Clemson, the two SEC teams, and then they threw in Ohio State because of the reigning champs. If we're talking about being impressive, I don't even think they really deserve to be in there. But out of respect, we have to put them at least at 4 because they're the champions.
Who, Ohio State?
Ohio State.
Okay.
Because that just out of respect. But off of pure impressive wins, they haven't played anybody and they haven't looked good playing nobody.
Well, as far as top defenses go, I mean, Alabama ranks top 3 in all college football. They're ranked number 3. Michigan surprisingly number 1. Boston College is number 2. LSU is number 4, and Clemson is number 5. So Alabama's defense. I mean, they still have that loss to Ole Miss. When you have teams behind Alabama and Baylor that's 7-0, Michigan State that's 8-0, TCU that's 8-0, Iowa that's 8-0, and then for that matter, what makes Alabama so much better than Florida at 7-1, Stanford 7-1, Utah 7-1, Memphis at 8-0, Oklahoma State at 8-0. Florida State at 7-1. You see what I'm saying? There's too many teams here that are undefeated and have the exact same records. Alabama. I think it's also because of the competition they face. But actually,
I think it's because of their name.
Get to Rashad.
I just think it's because
Rashad, what do you think?
I agree with Rudy about the fact that Ole Miss, how you said, yeah, they lost to them, but that wasn't a good team. But I mean, also it's because they lost early in the season, which is why Alabama is still up there to some people. Yeah. But I don't agree with Alabama being there because for the fact that they still have that taint on that record right now with their loss.
Do you have the same top 4 just without Alabama?
No. So actually, for the most part, yeah. Let me look at it again. Yeah, for the most part, I do, but the order they have it, I don't agree with. Like, I don't agree how you guys say Ohio State should be like number 4 when they've been number 1 all season in the AP top 25 polls.
I can explain that though.
But I mean, it doesn't matter if they've been impressive. They've been winning, and they've been number 1. They haven't dropped any games. They haven't dropped any spots. And for Baylor, I still have Baylor up there because see, when people look at it, because Alabama's defense, their defense is so good, so you want to put them up there even though they lost, just because Baylor's defense isn't the best, and they want to go in a shootout and just outscore the team. What's wrong with that? Oregon did it. So, and Oregon made it to the college football playoffs last season.
And the championship.
Yeah, and the championship, you know what I'm saying? So, you can't really, throw Baylor out because they don't have a good defense. They score a lot of points when they're the number 2 team on the AP top 20 polls. And top 25. And the number 3 total offense because that's what they do. All they do is just outscore the other team.
What do you think about what do you think about TCU? Because TCU's number 2.
See,
in offense.
You said what? Horned Frogs.
You're right, but when you also look at the AP, I also look at the AP top 25 poll where Baylor's ahead of them, and that right there is why I'll pick, because I mean right there you always have those like who should be and who should not be in. There's always those 2 close teams are like, should they be in over this team? Why and why not? But I feel like Baylor right now, especially since they're ranked number 2, should be above TCU.
But TCU,
I have one thing to argue with that.
TCU consistently is left out of
there's a lot of TCU hate.
There's a lot of TCU. You can't really say they're left out, but there's only 4 teams that go.
But it was the same situation last year.
Yeah, it's the same.
Everyone felt like they deserved to be there. They got put in, what was it, like the Orange or the Sugar Bowl or something, and decimated Ole Miss. It was a beat down of epic proportions. And then people were like, oh, well, they look better than some of the teams that were in the college football playoff. And then, it's a consolation prize.
Yeah. But that's I understand. That's why they're number 5 right now. But it's hard for like a team to basically, what am I trying to say? It's hard for a team to basically, get over that hump when you're constantly left at number 5 and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
One thing I would argue with the Baylor point is, and they have proved their worth this season because they put up a lot of points. They score a lot. They're impressive. There's 2 things that bother me about the whole Baylor being over TCU thing, and this is what I don't like about rankings in general. Baylor's 7-0, TCU is 8-0 in the same division. Baylor just lost their starting quarterback. TCU has a Heisman candidate, quite possibly the Heisman winner, and that's what's really. And they haven't played anybody yet. To be fair, they have not played anyone yet. TCU has played and TCU's strength of schedule is number 49 to Baylor's 109. Yeah. So they have more wins, scoring as many points and playing better defense, but somehow Baylor's better. I don't get it.
We can't do that. We cannot sit here and do that because the quarterback's out. Say they should not be knocked out.
No, I'm talking about strength of schedule too.
If that was the case, Ohio State wouldn't have been in last season.
No. I didn't think Ohio State should have been in, but they won the championship because they were a good team.
But the thing is, when they voted on it, they voted on Ohio State making the college football playoffs at the end of the season once they saw Cardale Jones be able to win a game, and he won against Wisconsin.
But he was still in the running though.
Yeah, no, but they still won the game. No, but I'm saying these are it's not like they eliminated. No, but I'm saying they did postseason because these are just midseason rankings, so it's just like kind of like the weekly NFL power rankings. That's pretty much what these are, and essentially you're just pretty much gauging how good each team is and how good each team has been. And right now, Baylor's not better than TCU with our backup quarterback.
What you just said though, how have they been?
I don't know how good they are. I know. I said how good they.
You just said how good they've been.
Yeah, I said how good they are and how good they have been. Yeah, listen to all my words. I said how good they are and how good they have been. So
they
right
both
now,
been impressive.
They both been great. I'm saying TCU's had a better offense. Baylor hasn't. And right now, Baylor just lost their starting quarterback. So how can we say that Baylor is also going to consistently be better than TCU? And it hasn't been better than TCU. TCU's had a harder record, a harder schedule, and they won all their games. They won one more game than Baylor currently. Yet Baylor's ranked ahead of TCU.
One thing I want to add to your point is TCU had an even bigger crutch than Baylor because Baylor just lost their quarterback last week. From the beginning of the season, TCU lost 11 defensive players to injury. And they've still been able to constantly produce. And against a common opponent in West Virginia, Baylor struggled. It was a shootout. TCU blew West Virginia out 50-10.
Yeah.
Like, if you're talking about impressive wins against similar opponents and they have a tougher schedule, I just don't understand how it is TCU is consistently the team that's on the outside looking in when they have the same strength of schedule or better than teams, have just impressive as a defense. And to me, the Heisman front runner for this year. I just don't understand it. If a team – and they still might be left out because Michigan State has a very strong argument as well. At the end of the day, someone's going to get left out of this playoff that doesn't deserve to.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
All right, let me ask one question real quick. So, how much do you think it is to y'all? How much do y'all think it is? Okay, so let me take a vote right now. If of any team, which team would y'all vote out of the top 4?
Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that you're saying Alabama, how much do you agree that they got in there because they're in the SEC West?
I think they got in there because their name is Alabama.
I think they got in because they lost real early in the season, and they still after that they've been on the roll.
So y'all don't think the fact that they're in the SEC West Conference plays any
that factors in.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm just asking because I mean think about it. These other conferences aren't scrubs now.
To tell you the truth, I think it's going to resolve itself though. Yeah, LSU plays Bama literally this weekend. Mm-hmm. I think LSU might drop another game before the season ends. That team's not as solid as I thought that they were. Their team is literally Leonard Fournette or bust, and their defense isn't as great as I thought they were. Mm-hmm. I think Alabama has a chance of dropping another one. I think Ohio State's going to lose. I'm actually fairly confident Ohio State's going to lose either to Michigan or Michigan State. They're losing to one of those teams, and that's horrible because Michigan State and Michigan are right at the end of the season. So if they catch that loss, they probably won't get in.
Yeah.
So as far as the top 4 goes, the only team that to me might be a lock if they can win this weekend is Clemson because they get past Florida State. It's easy breezy.
Yeah, but see that's the thing. See you just said it's easy breezy because the ACC is a basketball conference, it's not a football conference.
Yeah, they got 2 or 3 teams.
2 or 3, that's good.
Yeah.
So it's like that's how like if I didn't go Alabama, then I would have to say a Clemson team would have to be the one.
Wait, quick question: how do you feel about UNC not being ranked when they haven't lost?
They have lost. They lost one.
They lost one game.
They're
7-1.
Yeah. So,
but they still should be ranked.
I feel disappointed that I'm ranked
because there are teams that are 6-2 that are ranked.
So. And we have one of the highest power offense in the league right now.
And they have a great safety named Dominic Green. Just want to throw that out there. My old roommate.
So yeah, I mean, like I knew college football players. They're not going to include UNC in that. So. I'm not really concerned, but I'm concerned about them not being ranked.
2 things I would like to bring up, though, is the disrespect for mid-major teams is unreal. The disrespect for Houston and Memphis is unreal. These 2 teams are undefeated and have earned their records, and you're putting them behind teams that are 6-2. That's disrespectful. That's so disrespectful.
It's because of who they are.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's because of who you are. But look, I always look back at this. Boise State didn't get any respect until they went to the playoff, went to a bowl game and had to beat Oklahoma and other big ranked teams. And then now people are like, oh, Boise State, got to look out for them. Yeah. But these other teams that are proven that they're good teams, because here's my one argument with the whole Alabama thing. Memphis beat Ole Miss, and people are like, oh, that's not a good win because Ole Miss isn't that good. But Ole Miss beat Alabama, and they're like, oh, well, you know.
Because if you think at the time, Ole Miss was 15.
At the time, but now that we've discovered that they're not that good of a team,
you think about it this way. Season breakdowns.
Think about it this way: the Oklahoma loss to Texas is a horrible loss because we know that Texas is not a very good team. But before the season started, if you had said Texas is going to be Oklahoma, people would be like, oh well, you know.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. But now that you're looking at the Texas team that's being put on the field, you're like, oh, these guys are awful. Because Oklahoma lost to that team, I don't see them jumping above 10 anytime soon.
I'm so salty. You know, I'm still mad about.
By the way, I'm a University of Texas fan. I rub it in his face every day.
I'm so salty, Nick. We hurting, bro. We're hurting. We are hurting. But